Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing dupes for the palette of the month, the Snow Angels palette. When I first got this palette, dupes is something that you guys wanted to see for this palette. So that's what this video is going to be all about, and then I'm going to do a look on one eye with the palette and the other eye with the dupes so we can see how it kind of plays out on the eyes. Before we get into this, my 1-year anniversary giveaway is going on. If this is going up on the 31st, today's the last day. Is this going up on the 31st? This might be going up on the 30th. So tomorrow will be the last day. It ends in January. Anywho, I'll put a link right up here where you guys can check out the video that has all the goodies in it, and a link down below where you guys can get entered into it. Before I show you the dupes that I found, I've got to show you, like, I dug in everything looking for dupes. I think I counted and I have 54 swatches on my hands and there's 5 shades. So let me show you the pile that we're going to get our dupes from. I've got a couple of dupes for some of them. Here's the pile that our dupes are in. This is not the pile of everything I swatched. I went through every single palette that I own looking for dupes for these. Some of them were quite hard to find. So let me wipe this off my arm and then we're going to get into the dupe shade swatches and then get into the eye look. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the first shade in the palette, which is Cashmere. This tone was definitely hard to dupe. So I'm going to start with this one right here. So you can see it is a taupe with a mauvey purple undertone, and it's very pigmented. And that was another thing that was hard to dupe with this shade. I have 4 similar shades, but none hit it spot on. So the first one is from this Collab palette. Collab is sold at Sally Beauty, and it is, oh, it doesn't say, these don't have names. It's number 8 right here. Here's what that looks like. So this one isn't as deep as this shade, but it has a similar hue to it that one does, with the coolness of it and the purple undertone, but this one is a little darker than this one is. The next one is from the Modern Renaissance palette, and it is Bone Fresco, which is this shade right here. Push this one right above it. So that is similar to this one. This one is a little deeper than this shade right here, but still not quite as deep as this shade. This one has a little bit more of a light brown undertone to it than this one does. So they're similar, but they are not dead on dupe. So then we've got Mauve in the Lorac 1 Pro palette, the original Pro palette from Lorac. And actually Mauve and Bone Fresco are very similar. I think Bone Fresco is more similar to this one, but maybe this one is. In the viewfinder, it looks like this one is. Yeah, Mauve is more similar to this one, Cashmere from the Lorac Pro palette. And the last one that I have is from the Naked Ultimate Basics palette. And it is this shade right here, Instinct. And remember, this one's Cashmere, so I'm going to swatch this one right here. So there is Instinct. That one looks similar to this as well. This one has a little more brown undertone to it. These have a little more gray undertone to it, but these all have that purpley undertone in there as well. So those are the closest ones I could find to Cashmere from the Dose of Colors palette. This shade was so hard to find dupes for. I don't know, I probably swatched 20 different shades looking for a similar shade. As I go through these, if you guys have this and you have shades that are dupes for these, let us know in the comments, because you might have a palette or a single shadow or something that I don't have. So that would be awesome. The next shade in here is Pretty Bold, and this is that pinky shade. Put this one right here. I thought that this shade would be one of the easiest shades to dupe in this palette because it's a hot pink. It's a very red, purple, like true magenta shade, and that's something that made it very hard to find a dupe for it. So I only found one that was close to it in all the palettes I swatched. I think I swatched the most shades next to this one looking for a dupe, and it is BFF from the Pure BoxyCharm palette. You know, that reminds me. That one I think had a dupe for it in this Lucius Lux Collection palette. Let me see. Okay, I'll swatch both of these. So in here, we have Boss Made right here, and that I think is going to be similar too. So this is, the top one's going to be BFF from the Pure BoxyCharm palette. And this one is Boss Made from the Lucius Lux Collection Pretty Girl Squad palette. So those are the dupes for Pretty Bold. I would definitely say that this one is a closer match. This one is just a lot more pigmented, I think, and that's why it's throwing me off. This Pretty Girl Squad palette, so pigmented shadows. I do have a couple videos up on my channel using that palette. So we're going to move into Berry Cold, this shade right here. And I've got 3 dupes for this shade. The first one is a Love Letter from the ABH palette. That's this shade right here, one of the most popular shades, I think, from ABH. You can buy it as a single as well. So there's Love Letter. You can see those are very similar. So then the second dupe is Going Steady from ColourPop. The dupes for this shade are pretty close to right on. Alright, so here we've got the one from the Dose of Colors palette, and here's Going Steady from ColourPop. And then the last one is from the Element of Surprise palette from ColourPop. I think it's Late Night. I never know if these are like right behind it or if they are mimicking what it looks like. So it's either, I think it's Late Night, it could be Silk Street. So there's that one. So you can see all of these are very similar to the Berry Cold shade. I'm going to move on to this arm for the blues, and this is going to be difficult to swatch with this hand, but we're going to try it. All right, so we've got 0 Degrees, which is this shade right here, the lighter blue shade in the palette. All right, so I have one shade kind of similar to it. It is Empress from the Certified Dynasty palette. No, Emperor. I'm going to put this one up here. So you can see it still is not a dupe, but that's the closest I could get. This one is a deeper hue of this shade, so they have the same base kind of shade to it. This one I think just has got more black in it to make it deeper. I have one that I'm going to show you that's in between these 2 blue shades. It's Indigo from Coastal Scents. So let me swatch that one in between them. So there is Indigo. So Indigo has even a little bit more deeper tone than this one does. Now I'm going to do the last shade in the Dose of Colors palette. It is Thin Ice, this shade right here. And I'll swatch it right under it. So I don't know if you can tell or not. This one is just kind of in between these. This one is just so much more pigmented that it's hard to see that. So now I'm going to go into dupes for that last shade. So the first one I have is from the Magic Mini by Juvia's Place. And it is, no idea, Yejide? I'm totally not saying that right. We all know that. So I'm going to swatch that right below this. This is probably the closest shade to it. So that one, right, it's not even close, but it's the closest one I could find. It's got a little more of that black undertone to it. And then the other one I could find is actually almost dead on, but it is nowhere near the pigmentation of the Dose of Colors one. It's actually my first Coastal Scents shade that I don't like the pigment to. So it is Navy Baby by Coastal Scents, and it is just not good quality pigmentation. So there it is. I mean, you can see. That is horrible. But it is so close to the shade Thin Ice. So it's pretty close now that I've put 4 swatches on it, but you know, that Dose of Color one is definitely more pigmented. So let me show you guys all of the kind of dupes that I have found for the Dose of Colors Snow Angels palette. So here they are. So, I mean, I think I did a pretty good job. My arms look like those palettes. These are just, I think all these shades just have really unique undertones and depth to them that it was hard to find dupes for it, but you know, I found some good ones. Now I've got to decide which ones I'm going to use for the look. So I think I am going to use Navy Baby for the Thin Ice dupe. For Pretty Bold, I'm going to use the shade Boss Maid from the Pretty Girl Squad palette. For Berry Cold right here, I'm going to use Love Letter from the ABH palette. I think I'm going to just go ahead and use Bone Fresco from this palette as well. For the bright blue one, I'm going to use the Certified Dynasty shade Emperor right here. So let's go ahead and get into the look. I think I'm going to do some blue and taupe on the lids and the pink colors on the lower lash line. I haven't done something like that yet. Let me go ahead and clean my arms off because that is a mess waiting to happen, and we will be back to start this look. All right, I've got you guys all zoomed in. I am totally on the coffee train today. I know I'm starting to get a migraine, so I'm doing the Excedrin coffee combo or Tylenol coffee combo. I'm not really sure what I took today. So I'm going to get started with this blue shade right here in the crease area. I do have my eyelids primed with the Ulta Matte Nude Primer. So this is going to be my Dose of Colors eye. And the other eye will be the other eye. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. Okay, so you can see, well, I can tell you first of all, this shade can be built up to be very pigmented. I'm just trying to wash it out a little bit because I want it to be my transition shade, so I don't want it to be so pigmented. For this eye, I'm going to go in with my Certified Dynasty palette. I'm going to use my color switch pan in between each shade. So I'm using the same brush. For this shade, I'm using the Wet n Wild P20 and Emperor from the Dynasty palette. I would say that these two palettes with their blues have similar formulas. They're both dusty but pigmented. And honestly, this one blends out way better than this one does. I'm going to go ahead and clean that off again and just try to blend this one out a little bit. That looks a little better. Those look really close to each other. So now I'm going to go in with the navy shade. I can already tell you because I've tried the Coastal Scents one and the other one on my lids before, seeing how they compare to each other, and I know this Coastal Scents one looks really poor compared to that one, but I'm going to put this one on the outer V. For the shade, I'm taking a natural hair pencil brush to hope to pack on more of it. This is the Morphe 431, and this is Navy Baby. So now this shade is proving me wrong. That's got some good pigment. But once we put the other shade on, maybe we'll notice it better. Alright, so that's just our outer V shade. And that's exactly where I want it. Now I'm going to go in with the Dose of Colors palette. Okay, there we go. Now you can see how much different this shade is in pigment for sure. But I mean, like, if you were just doing this on both eyes, then I think it would look okay because you wouldn't see how different the pigmentation is in them. I mean, look at that. Look at that difference in pigmentation. This one's also $1. Let me go back in. I'm going to go back in with Navy Baby and see if I can build it up just a little bit. Really patting it on here. Then I'm going to go back in. That's insane how different that pigment is. I'm going to go back in with my fluffy brush here and the lighter blue shade and just blend right where those guys meet. And the same with the Certified Dynasty palette over here. Aside from the pigment, looking very similar so far. So for the rest of the lid, I want to put the taupe shade on the entire rest of the lid. So I'm just going to go in with a flat shader brush. This is a Crown brush one. I think I got this in a FabFitFun box. So I'm starting first with Cashmere from the Dose of Colors palette. And then where those meet, I actually think I'm going to take the light blue and pat it over those. So that one is really good in terms of pigment. You can see it almost completely covers up the blue that was there. I kind of wish I would have done a cut crease now for that shade, but I didn't. Then I'm going to go in with Bone Fresco here and put that over the entire lid. So already, I don't know that I would say this is more pigmented. I would say it's just got a little bit deeper tone to it. But I would say that these shades are very similar. I think these two eye looks are looking pretty close to each other right now. I'm going to go in with a little tiny fluffy brush. What do I want to use for this? I think I'm going to use this Morphe 507, and I'm going to take that light blue shade and just kind of, so now where they meet, I'm going to take that blue shade, the lighter blue shade, and just kind of pat right where those two colors meet, just to bring a bridge between the dark blue to that lighter shade. And then I'm going to take Cashmere and pat those also. So you can see they just kind of like start to blend together. I'm going to do the same on the other side with the Dynasty palette blue and Bone Fresco from the ABH palette. We're looking good. We're looking good. Okay, let's go ahead and do the lower lash line. So the lower lash line is going to be very simple. The deeper pink shade is going to go on the outer part, and the lighter pink shade is going to go on the inner part. I think I'm going to use this flat definer brush right here. So I'm going to start with the Dose of Colors, and we're just going to stamp the darker pink shade right here and the lighter pink shade right there. And I'm going to do the same on the other side, starting with Love Letter from the Modern Renaissance palette. Going in with Boss Made from the Pretty Girl Squad palette. You guys, okay, so besides this little mess right here I'll have to clean up, that looks very similar. Gosh, okay, I got a lot of cleaning up to do, and I'm gonna do, I've got to think of something else I want to do with the eyes. I'm going to do some liquid liner. I'm going to find something for the waterline. I'm going to do some mascara, and then I'm going to be back to talk a little more about this. Okay, so before I put on lashes, I want to show you guys just how it looks and tell you what else I added to the look. So I have put on this Sephora waterproof eye contour crayon in Fairy Tale. It looks green, but it actually, I mean, it is green, but it's like almost a green blue shade. I wanted something darker in the waterline because that red is there. Sometimes the red can make you look like bloodshot eyes or pink, so I put that in the waterline. I did line the tight line with my Urban Decay Zero eyeliner. I put on my vibrating mascara from Pure Cosmetics, which I am absolutely loving, and then I put a lipstick on, I'm not sure what it is. I'll tell you when I've got the lashes on. So I do want to put some kind of shimmer or inner corner highlight on, but I want to show you this before I do that. These look so incredibly similar. I didn't think it was going to come out looking this good, but I think that they look very similar. I know I've got mascara I've got to clean up right here, but I'm liking these dupes so far. So let me put on some lashes and I'll be back with the final look. I am back with the final look. I am just really impressed with myself about how similar these look. I mean, it took a lot of work to get here in terms of finding the shades, but I think it looks really good. So I don't know if you could tell the difference or not if you didn't know. I think what I'm going to do is the day before I post this, I'm going to post on Instagram to see what people think. So that will be interesting to find out. So if you want to see what people thought, then I'll put my Instagram down below so you can check out what people said. about it. I've got on some Ardell natural lashes in the style 120 is what I'm wearing. I really, really like these lashes. I've been wearing them a lot lately. They're not so crazy, but you've got some lash on. You know what I mean? On the lips, I found what I put on it. I put on Sending Love. This is a MAC cream sheen lipstick, so just a neutral shade. And then I do want to pop something in the inner corner. I think I'm going to use this Vanessa Vanity highlighter in Unspoken for my inner corner. And I'm just taking, this is like a really random dollar brush from Amazon. It doesn't say anything. It's just a pointy and firm brush. So I'm going to use that to pop this in the inner corner just to give a little highlight there. It's just it's a standard shade of highlight, but it is very, very beautiful and pigmented. Okay, there we go. So this is the final look. So let us know in the comments if you have other dupes for these shades as well. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this video. Let me know what you think about the look. Don't forget to enter the giveaway before you leave, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!